When the two men returned to the CEO's office, Jerry, the round-faced secretary who had already received the notification, was waiting at the door clutching a stack of files. Austin sat down and began to process official business, ignoring the pestering of the vampire prince currently inhabiting his husband's mind. Wayne, unable to get a response after winking at his little wife for a long time, finally lowered his head and began to work honestly. Thanks to the influence of Austin's father's livestream a few days prior, traffic on the Banana Live platform had surged. The platform had also followed the trend and added a limited-time gift called Veterans Comfort. It was more expensive than the usual most expensive tip, costing nearly $3,000. When a viewer threw this gift to a streamer, a full-screen animation of Austin's father's face would rain down like celestial flowers, accompanied by a voice effect saying, "This has nothing to do with this female comrade." It was a limited-time gift, available for only 1 month, and wealthy fans were buying it enthusiastically. The financial reports for the past few days looked spectacular. Austin was very satisfied and decided to issue an encouragement bonus to the operations department of Banana Live. "Boss, are you going to give me a bonus too?" Jerry took the signed documents, squatting down and clinging to the desk in an attempt to look cute. "What bonus do you want?" Austin raised an eyebrow. "This month, I ran to Titan Tech more than 20 times. My working hours increased by 50%. I even lost 3 pounds. Jerry rested his chin on the desktop, demonstrating how his triple chin had reduced to a double chin. "All right, you have indeed worked hard." Austin nodded. "I'll add $500 to your bonus this month." "Thank you, boss." Jerry stood up excitedly, hugging the files and preparing to leave. However, after taking 2 steps, he suddenly felt something was wrong. $500 was exactly the amount Wayne paid him monthly as a photo allowance for spying on Austin, which had just been confiscated by Austin 2 days ago. After talking for half the day, he hadn't actually earned a penny more. "Shall I change it to 400? Austin glanced at him. No, 500 is great." Jerry waved his hands quickly, casting a pitiful glance at Wayne. However, the busy vampire prince did not receive the fat man's signal. He was only interested in sweet blood, not pork belly. As soon as the pork belly left the office with the files, Austin's phone rang. It was Lucas calling. "Your secretary's phone wasn't going through, so I called you," Lucas explained. Even though they were close, he always called the secretary to book a time for business meetings because, as a fellow boss, he knew how tight schedules could be. He just went downstairs, probably in the elevator, Austin realized. Lucas asked if Austin had time today. He wanted to come over and chat about something. "I'm at Titan Tech. I don't have any appointments today. Come over," Austin said. He felt someone staring at him, so he looked up at Wayne and mouthed the name. "Lucas." "Ah, you're at Titan Tech? That's perfect. I have an appointment with Wayne. We can talk together," Lucas said, indicating he would arrive within half an hour before hanging up. Austin glanced at Wayne's schedule. He indeed had an appointment with Lucas this morning. Hearing this news, the vampire prince was very unhappy that he had forgotten about this matter. "When he comes later, you hide under my desk," Wayne said seriously. "Why?" Austin looked at the spacious executive desk and the long legs clad in suit trousers underneath it. He imagined Lucas coming in later and seeing him squatting under Wayne's desk. The image was simply too embarrassing to contemplate. "It's dangerous," Wayne frowned, not wanting Lucas to see his little sacrifice at all. The Lucas family is a family of vampires. The youngest son, Lucas, is very capable. Back then, your father even considered offering you to the Lucas family. Just as they were speaking, the secretary knocked on the door. Lucas had arrived. The vampire who failed to hide his treasure could only openly hold his little wife's hand as the 3 of them sat on the sofa drinking tea. "It's really convenient for me that you two are working together," Lucas laughed. He connected his smart brain to the projector in the CEO's office, displaying a beautiful drawing. A mermaid with a golden tail smiled back from the ocean, surrounded by floating pearls, shells, and conchs. "This is Lucas Games' S-rank work, Azure Fish," Lucas explained. It tells the story of a protagonist living by the sea who accidentally meets a mermaid and falls in love. You can choose between boy and girl modes. In boy mode, the protagonist meets a beautiful mermaid princess. In girl mode, a handsome mermaid prince. The game had high playability, exquisite graphics, and smooth gameplay, and had been very popular since its release. What? You can't go on living, so you have to sell your assets. Wayne looked at him with a faint smile, as if looking at a poor little noble who was trying to keep up appearances after his family had fallen. Haha, I'm not selling this. Lucas took it as a joke, shaking his head with a smile in his peach blossom eyes. I want to cooperate with Titan Tech to turn Azure Fish into a battle game. Previously, when fighting with Titan Tech for the Little Jasmine studio, Lucas hadn't expected Titan Tech to operate in this mode. Wayne's unconventional personality was truly the material for doing big things. He had abruptly turned a short-lived girl-style game into a long-term money-making tree. The success of Vampire Prince gave Lucas great inspiration, but Lucas Games didn't have the technology and manpower to create a large battle platform. He could only look for a competitive game company to cooperate with. And Titan Tech was undoubtedly the most suitable and reliable choice. Seeing Lucas smile at his little wife, Wayne was very unhappy and deliberately picked a quarrel. How to change it? Change it to a fishing competition. Fishing. Lucas choked, almost spitting out blood. This is a romance game. The target is a mermaid. Why compete in fishing? Lucas continued. This game originally had a magic mode. It's just that the focus wasn't on fighting competitions before. The game setting is that the protagonist is a magician who can help the mermaid race break a curse. During this period, they need to constantly collect materials, complete tasks, and repeatedly play mini-games to obtain items. Austin pressed a fist to his lips to hide his smile and did not intervene. It's not impossible to do. Wayne flipped through the proposal and made a rough judgment. But you also know, the server and technical support for a battle game are key. The operating costs increase geometrically. If we develop it, I will basically be managing it, so the profit split will be 28. You get 2, I get 8. That's too dark. Lucas frowned, showing him the revenue report for Azure Fish. This is already a very profitable project. I went to Touch Vision Tech, and they only asked for 40-60. Wayne sneered, crossing his legs and leaning back on the sofa. Then go let Touch Vision do it. I guarantee they'll produce a touching disaster. Lucas held it in for a moment, but couldn't help laughing out loud. It's not good to slander your competitors like that, is it? Touch Vision can hardly be considered my competitor. The prince looked at him with contempt. Such confidence actually strengthened Lucas's determination to cooperate with Titan Tech. After grinding for a long time, they finally settled on a 30-70 split. Wayne didn't make a definitive promise, stating that Titan Tech needed to do a feasibility analysis report first to evaluate the product's value before deciding on the scale of investment. Lucas expressed understanding, and the matter was considered tentatively settled. After taking a sip of tea, Lucas turned to speak to Austin about advertising. I came to you to talk about the advertising for this project. Your husband agreed to cooperate. Can you give me a discount for advertising on Banana Live? Technically, it was handed over to Titan, but operations and publicity were definitely Lucas's responsibility. Brothers settle accounts clearly. Austin slowly put down his cup, lifting his chin to point at his husband. Ask him how much promotion fee Galaxy Glory gives me. The advertising departments of the two companies did not show mercy because of their in-law relationship. It was only because the Titan platform was strong and the games were popular that they gave a 1% discount. If you want a dedicated livestream zone like Galaxy Glory, we can offer a little discount. Boss Austin tried to guide the client to spend more money. No need. This is just a girl's game. Lucas's mouth twitched. Opening a livestream zone was only for large competitive games. Unless the game was hot enough for the platform to open one for free voluntarily, the promotion fee was very high. Tisking at the husband-husband money-grabbing duo, young Master Lucas left clutching his bleeding heart. With the click of the wooden door closing, the smile on the prince's face disappeared instantly. He pulled the little sacrifice who was trying to escape into his arms. He smiled at you just now. Did you feel a moment of distraction? No. Austin pressed one hand against the face leaning close, pushing away the guy who was starting to talk nonsense again. I'm not joking with you, Wayne said with a serious face. The Lucas family is noble, and Lucas is the most outstanding of his generation. Those peach blossom eyes are specially designed to seduce ignorant boys and girls. Once bewitched by him, there will be no bones left. How do you know that again? He doesn't have fangs, Austin said helplessly. The prince gently stroked the little sacrifice's tender face and sighed. You don't understand. High-level vampires rely on charm. Lucas is so flirtatious. Didn't he almost trick you away back then? So that's what this is about. Austin was speechless. It had been so many years, yet this person still remembered that grudge. It was just a blind date where neither looked down on the other. Unable to communicate, Austin ignored him and returned to his desk to continue working. The little sacrifice wouldn't listen to reason, which made Wayne a bit unhappy. He poured a glass of red wine and sat back in the boss's chair, not working, just staring at his little wife. Watching and watching, he got hungry. He raised his hand and pressed the internal line, telling the secretary to lock the door and not allow anyone to enter. What's wrong? Austin looked up at him. Come here. Wayne put down the red wine and hooked his finger at his little wife. What now? Austin stood up helplessly and walked to his husband's side. Austin raised his hand in preparation. If it was something trivial, he would let those solid shoulders experience why a slap print is so red. A summons from a noble vampire prince was naturally not a trivial matter. Wayne licked his lips, caught the weak little sacrifice, lifted him up, and placed him on the desk. Austin sat on the desk, a head taller than his husband sitting in the chair. His legs were spread apart. It was inexplicably shameful. This king is going to feed. The hungry vampire needed sweet blood to fill his stomach. Hey, wait. Austin was puzzled seeing the guy who claimed he wanted to drink blood starting to undo his belt. What kind of sucking method is this? MMPH. I am not one of those low-level bats who bite roughly. As an elegant Eastern vampire, the prince was very particular and cultured. Ancient books say, 10 drops of blood equal 1 drop of essence. 1 mouthful equals 10 mouthfuls. Powerless to resist, the little wife was pressed onto the desk by the vampire and drained of a large amount of essence blood, finally collapsing softly onto the table, panting weakly. The prince, having eaten and drunk his fill, ignored the dying little sacrifice and went to rinse his mouth first. Only then did he unhurriedly return to carry him off the table. Strangely, the little wife who had been sucked of blood was not pale from blood loss, but flushed all over. Austin buried his face in Wayne's chest, unable to face anyone. He hadn't compromised with those domineering CEO scripts before, but he never expected to stumble with the vampire. Tired, Wayne put him on the sofa and took off his suit jacket to cover him. Earlier, in his excitement while feeding, he had torn open his little wife's shirt. Austin yawned. He felt a bit sleepy after doing such a thing, but sleeping in the middle of the morning was a bit inappropriate. Sleep if you're tired. The satisfied prince was exceptionally good-tempered. He kissed the weak little sacrifice and took a nap blanket from the cabinet. I'll wake you when it's time to eat. Austin pulled the blanket to cover half his face. No more doing this in the office. I can't guarantee that. He wanted to say it wasn't up to the sacrifice, but the gentle noble vampire wouldn't scare his food. Mister. Wayne gently touched his little wife's face. My feeding times aren't fixed. It could happen anytime, anywhere. Don't worry, this room is soundproof. Under the blanket, Austin's fist clenched and unclenched. Unclenched and clenched again. After repeating this 3 times, he ultimately didn't reach out to punch him. There was no reasoning with a guy whose brain wasn't clear. He nestled into the sofa, closed his eyes, and slept. After sleeping for half an hour, his lost energy was replenished. Austin opened his eyes and saw the secretary silently communicating with Wayne using sign language. Ahem. He coughed lightly to signal he was awake. The two over there immediately spoke aloud. Baby, you're awake. Then I'll go out first. The secretary put down a paper bag, nodded to Austin, and left the office, gently closing the door. Inside the paper bag was, without a doubt, a new shirt. Since Wayne got sick, Austin's expensive shirts had become disposable consumables. On average, one had to be scrapped every 2 days. Anyway, from the moment Wayne asked the secretary to lock the door, it was impossible to explain. Austin, resigned to his fate, changed into the new shirt and sat back at the desk to continue working. In the afternoon, Titan Tech had a high-level meeting. Wayne had to go to the top floor for the meeting. Austin looked at the meeting schedule. It was 4 hours long. He proposed going back to Banana Live, as Banana also had a project meeting today. No, you come to the top floor with me. The prince, having tasted the deliciousness, didn't want to let go for a moment. He just wanted to keep the little dessert in his pocket and take it out for a lick when he was craving it. I'm not going. Currently, it seemed this script didn't affect Wayne's decision-making ability. Austin didn't need to watch him. Two people wasting 4 hours doing the same thing didn't fit Boss Austin's efficiency principles. Fine if you don't go, but you can't leave this office, Wayne argued for a while before making a concession. If I come back halfway and find you gone, I'll blood sacrifice everyone at Banana Live. Understood. Although he didn't know how this Big D prince would blood sacrifice his employees, Austin obediently didn't leave. The meeting wasn't particularly important anyway. He could do it remotely via video, so he accessed the video conference directly in the office. This project meeting was mainly to discuss the introduction of TV dramas from Barbecue Network. After Kyle returned, he actively sent a new representative to negotiate, full of sincerity. But Austin wasn't very willing to continue cooperating with him, so he had the project team consult other American TV networks at the same time. Barbecue mainly specialized in dramas, suspense, and workplace dramas. BBL specialized in family dramas and sitcoms. If they wanted to increase Banana's brand value, buying Barbecue was recommended. If it was for traffic, buying BBL was more suitable. Austin listened carefully to the report in the video when he suddenly heard the office door click. He turned his head and saw Wayne, who should have been in the meeting on the top floor, sneaking half his head in. Upon being discovered, he immediately shrank back like a gopher and closed the door again with a click. Baffling. Meanwhile, everyone in the top floor conference room was also confused. The meeting had been going on for an hour when the CEO suddenly disappeared. He came back hurriedly after disappearing for a few minutes and continued the meeting. At first, everyone thought the CEO went to the restroom and didn't mind. But later, when he disappeared every hour, it felt a bit wrong. Sitting next to Wayne was Vice President Zhao, who was in his 40s. Watching the CEO rush out 3 times looking like he had a bladder urgency, the experienced VP Zhao whispered with concern, "Is it that you can't hold it?" Wayne nodded. His little snack was downstairs, and he was always afraid someone would snatch him away. Worried constantly that he might encounter danger, he couldn't help but go check every hour. VP Zhao sighed. After the meeting, he sent the contact number of a specialist doctor to him, advising, "Go see it early. This kind of thing can't be delayed." See what? Wayne was confused. He was worried about his little wife. Why did this person send him a doctor's number? Frequent urination and urgency. VP Zhao patted his shoulder with a look that said, "I understand you," and left. The noble Prince Nicholas felt humiliated. But vampires had hidden identities and couldn't make them public. He couldn't explain his crazy possessiveness towards his little sacrifice. He could only silently bear the world's misunderstanding. This great endurance of humiliation must be recorded in the Zhang family history. On the way back, the depressed prince told his little wife about this matter. "I feel like the Zhang descendants don't really want to see such great achievements." Austin, who was driving, glanced at him with sympathy. "You don't understand, Mr." Wayne said deeply. Seeing his little wife about to drive to a restaurant again, he stopped him in time. "Let's go home. I'll make you something delicious." Today, the little sacrifice obediently offered fresh blood to the great prince. He should be supplemented properly. Outside food wasn't enough to replenish the lost essence. He needed to cook personally. The refrigerator was full of ingredients, and there was a pot of high broth stewed by the villa chef. It was made by simmering old duck, hen, ribs, and other ingredients over a low fire all night. Anything cooked with it tasted good. Wayne simply took out the whole pot of soup to make Buddha jumps over the wall. The house had an automatic high-pressure stew pot and various high-tech kitchen appliances. Although the stew couldn't compare to the taste of slow cooking in an earthenware pot, it was fast. The little guy who lost too much blood must be starving. He had to let him eat something good quickly. Austin stood at the kitchen door worriedly watching him cook, afraid he would throw something strange in. Fortunately, the vampire gentleman didn't put in any mythical beast blood or crow feathers, just normal ingredients. When the lid was lifted off the stewed Buddha jumps over the wall, the rich aroma instantly filled the dining room. Austin took the soup, served by his husband, and took a sip. It was salty, fresh, and delicious, truly tasty. He bit into a scallop, and the fragrance lingered on his lips. Austin didn't like eating out. When he was a child, because of the nanny, he had plenty of pocket money and sometimes ate out. But the food outside was heavy in oil and salt, and eating too much made him feel uncomfortable. The first time he ate Wayne's home-cooked meal after getting married, it was simply astonishing, because that dish was full of the smell of home. According to Wayne, he learned his cooking skills from his grandmother. After his mother passed away, his grandmother took care of him. His grandmother was old and didn't have much to teach him, so she taught him a few dishes. My grandma said, "You have to know how to cook to get a wife." Actually, they weren't very complicated dishes. His grandma only hoped back then that her grandson wouldn't starve to death after she was gone. Unexpectedly, in the end, this grandson really used it to win a wife's favor. Finding that his little wife liked the food he cooked, Wayne cooked for him often. His cooking skills got better and better. For Austin's stomach, he even specifically learned how to make soup. What's wrong? Seeing his little wife in a daze, Wayne waved his hand in front of his eyes. Nothing, it's very delicious. Austin picked up the bowl and slurped it clean. Based on the principle that feeding the little sacrifice could optimize the taste of the blood, the prince actively added rice for him and encouraged him to eat more. The two of them ate the entire pot of Buddha jumps over the wall clean. It was all highly nourishing stuff. After digesting, Austin felt a wave of heat. "Are you hot?" Austin rubbed against his husband, who was half lying down playing a smart brain game. "Baby, what do you want to do?" Wayne reached out and hugged him. Of course, he was a little hot. He had eaten nourishing essence blood during the day and Buddha jumps over the wall at night. Still want me to suck blood?" Wayne turned off the smart brain and touched the little sacrifice's smooth face, gently shaking his head. "I know sucking blood gives you a hallucinogenic comfort, even addiction, but that's not good. Losing too much blood will kill you." He firmly rejected the little sweetie's temptation. He was a vampire who insisted on sustainable development. Whether it was sustainable development or not, Austin didn't know. He only knew he was continuously burning up. The little wife ground his teeth looking at the calm vampire gentleman. "Fine, if we don't do it, we don't do it. See if you don't explode." He had released himself during the day, so it wasn't serious, but Wayne would probably have a bump on his head tomorrow. Sure enough, the next morning, a pimple grew on the top of the prince's head. Hidden in the hair, it couldn't be seen usually, but it could be felt, painful and itchy, very uncomfortable. "Let me see." Austin stood on tiptoe and rummaged through his husband's head. In the thick hair, he felt a small bump, red on the surface. It was obviously caused by internal heat. The physically robust Wayne had sufficient yang energy, yet ate so many nourishing things without releasing. So, he fell into the troubles of an adolescent boy growing pimples. He found some topical ointment in the medicine chest to apply for the itch and advised him to drink some cooling herbal tea. However, the vampire gentleman insisted this was a burn from the sun. "I was still too careless. Even if my power is strong, I can't defeat the sun, my natural enemy." Worried that he would become bald if he continued to be exposed to the sun, Wayne put on a fedora when going out and reopened his big black umbrella. Austin couldn't control him, so he let him be. "I'm going to Banana Live today, not to Titan Tech with you." Wayne frowned. He didn't want to agree originally. But seeing his little wife's slightly pouting mouth due to unhappiness, he compromised. "All right, but you must send a message every hour so I know you are safe." "Every hour. Barely acceptable." Austin nodded and agreed. In the past, Wayne loved to worry blindly, getting nervous if he didn't receive a message after a certain time. Later, Austin slowly developed the habit of telling his husband first wherever he went. He would also tell him approximately what time he would be home when going out for social events. Now that his brain was broken, it had intensified to one message an hour. Austin asked the AI assistant, Annie, to set a reminder to send a message to Wayne every hour. He thought he could work in peace for the day, but just after sending the second message, a black fedora popped out from the crack of the door. "What are you doing here? Didn't I send you a message?" The veins on Austin's forehead were almost popping into a grid shape. This wasn't a vampire. This was a haunting spirit, right? Wayne walked in carrying a briefcase, pulled up a chair, and sat next to Austin, sighing with a cadence in his voice. "Oh, my little sweetie. I really couldn't bear to leave you alone here. Just this anxiety was about to burn me to ashes. Scarier than the midday sun in midsummer. Do you know?" I observed carefully on the way just now. There is more than one vampire in this building. So, Austin crossed his arms, watching him take a stack of documents and an ultra-thin computer out of his briefcase like an obedient student coming to class. Let's be desk mates today, mister. Wayne winked playfully. Need vampire brother to help you with your homework? It had to be said, such a vampire gentleman was cute and flirtatious. The anger Austin had just felt disappeared because of his teasing. Forget it, forget it. However, the trouble was far from over. Not long after Wayne worked obediently, he started to fuss. One moment he wanted tomato juice, the next he wanted snacks. It was as if he had really turned into a primary school student. Fortunately, Jerry's drawer was rich in food reserves and could satisfy most of the first lady's needs, except, I want to suck blood. Thwack. The back of his head received a slap, which happened to graze that pimple. Wayne held in pain. Be good. Wait until we get home. When the administrative assistant came in, she saw her own boss coaxing the teary-eyed President Zhang with a cold face. The tone had no warmth at all. It looked more like a domestic violence scene no matter how you looked at it. Ahem, President, the new function on the video platform goes online tonight. Until what time do you plan to stay? What do you want for a midnight snack? Usually, when a new function went online, the president would lead the overtime work and no one dared to leave. It was fine if no problems occurred, but if there were any issues, they would be busy until the early morning. Tonight's new function was relatively simple and had been tested. There basically wouldn't be any problems. The administrative assistant asked this to probe how long the boss planned to stay on everyone's behalf. Austin paused for a moment, realizing he hadn't worked overtime for a long time. To take care of his sick husband, he had been leaving work on time for the past few weeks, even arriving late and leaving early. He pondered for a moment and said, No need to order a midnight snack for me. Call me if there are any problems. Okay. The administrative assistant agreed happily. If the boss didn't work overtime, they, the irrelevant personnel, could leave early. Tonight there was Art the Demon King's vampire livestream, and she was anxious to go back and watch it. Vampire livestream? Wayne looked up upon hearing this. The administrative assistant jumped, realizing she was too excited and had blurted out what she was thinking about. She looked nervously at her own boss and said with an awkward smile, Yes, the Demon King is playing Vampire Prince at the Titan Tech Experience Center. He also promised fans he would put on makeup. Night fell. Wearing a medieval-style white shirt with ruffles, the Demon King appeared in front of the camera. He gracefully put one hand behind his back, performed a retro bow, and slowly looked up. Good evening. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Ah, I'm dead. Who am I? Where am I? The esports champion's young and handsome face was now covered with pale foundation. Two small tiger teeth were fitted with exaggerated canines. Even with his mouth closed, the two tips could be seen. It was unexpectedly good-looking. The livestream barrage exploded instantly. Half of the Demon King's fans were fans of his looks. They thought he would at most wear false teeth to amuse everyone. They didn't expect him to put on makeup so seriously. The appearance fans were incoherent with excitement, frantically sending gifts. The Demon King scratched his head, a bit embarrassed. Well, I've never put on makeup. The administrative sister at Titan Tech helped me with it. Just make do with watching. The administrative sister hadn't actually done much makeup. She just helped him apply powder and draw his eyebrows, but she very slyly put a dot of red at the corner of his eye. It looked pale and alluring. Of course, there were those who couldn't stand it, especially some male fans. Asterisk a perfectly good technical streamer doing this flashy stuff. What's the difference between this and those selling flesh next door? Getting more and more boring. Only knowing how to please women. Losing face for professional players. Not doing proper work. Not playing competitive games. Just doing useless things. Asterisk seeing the fans about to fight. The Demon King smiled and licked his fangs. Occasionally streaming this earned some advertising fees. I need to eat too, brothers. Or you raise me. I'll play whatever you want me to play. Just as he was speaking, the administrative sister's voice came from afar. Little Wong, are you eating a midnight snack here tonight? Eating. The Demon King quickly raised his hand. Okay, tonight it's fried bean paste noodles and braised chicken legs. Okay, the Demon King agreed with a smile. He was very happy and told the fans, there are chicken legs. Fans expressed their heartache one after another. Silly child is so happy just eating a chicken leg, suspecting Boss Austin is mistreating him. Enough gossip. Whatever flashy dress-up was just a bonus. A game streamer still had to play games. Playing Vampire Prince with Titan Tech's expensive VR equipment was 10 times more fun than flat-screen operation. Wearing gravity equipment, he experienced hunting and picking up items immersively. He could even stroke the Vampire Prince he was raising. Because Titan expanded the content after taking over, to cater to male players, a boy image was added to the protagonist selection. At this moment, the Demon King's hands in the game were a pair of men's hands. He handed the collected blood clot to the Vampire Prince, and while he was eating, secretly touched his face. Holy crap, I can touch it! The Demon King exclaimed and touched again. The gravity gloves gave him the illusion of touching a solid object. He could touch along the vampire's profile. Don't be rude. The vampire frowned and swatted his hand away. The gravity gloves allowed the player to experience a real throwing force. Very exciting. Wow, there's actually such a hidden interaction. Oh my god. Sure enough, the rich played differently from us. Austin was lying on the bed watching the live stream. Seeing the Demon King touching enthusiastically, his own hands itched. He turned his head and pinched Mr. Vampire's face, then lowered his head and threw a tip to the Demon King. The Demon King sharply spotted the boss's ID and quickly read it out. Thank you, boss, for the tip of $1. Why read out $1? I just tipped you $1,000 and you ignored me. Hey, no, this is the real boss, your young master. The Demon King took a screenshot to show everyone the nickname. President Test Account Star. Oh my, is it really the young master? Oh, young master, is Daddy Wayne there? Ha ha ha. The young master only tipped $1. Austin looked at the content of the barrage and couldn't help pursing his lips to smile. Wayne, who was lying on his back playing games, turned his head and noticed his little wife's unusual smile. He silently got up and leaned over to look. Boss, give a little more. The Demon King spoke to the screen while doing tasks, baring his 2 small fangs to beg for money. After 1,000 calls, Austin threw another $1. Thank you, boss, for throwing another $1. The Demon King winked at the screen, causing the fangirls to scream endlessly. Austin couldn't help laughing. However, Mr. Wayne beside him darkened his face. No more watching. That damn brat dares to openly seduce the prince's private blood slave. He's really tired of living. Where did watching a live stream offend you? Austin snatched back the smart brain and glared at him. Very good, you're even speaking up for him. Then I can only sentence him to death. Saying that, he picked up the phone. Prince Nicholas gritted his teeth. He must give that little vampire who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth a profound lesson. After a while, the administrative department came to deliver the midnight snack to the live-streaming Demon King. A bowl of fried bean paste noodles, 2 braised chicken legs, a cup of lemon tea, and additionally, a mysterious small box. The administrative sister pointed at the small box to remind him. The president gave this to you, said it's a punishment. President Jean. The Demon King was confused. Why give him a punishment out of nowhere? Watch. Once he knows I gave it, he won't dare not to eat. On this side of the screen, Wayne put his arm around his little wife, forcing him to witness the demise of that handsome little vampire with his own eyes. The opaque box contained an unknown danger. The Demon King reached out and slowly opened the lid, suddenly widening his eyes. White and translucent, a full box of sugar garlic. The Demon King picked up the box to show the fans in the livestream room, baring his fangs, confused for a long time. What kind of punishment is this? Some fans reacted quickly. Could it be because you're playing a vampire, so he gave you garlic to poison you to death? Ha ha ha, makes so much sense. Daddy Wayne wants to sentence you to death. The Demon King asked the administrative sister again. It really was Wayne who personally called and requested to add sugar garlic for him. With a face full of bitterness, he pinched a clove of garlic. The sugar vinegar marinated garlic emitted a sweet fragrance, stimulating the appetite. Why sentence me to death out of nowhere? Just because I asked the boss for $2? Do the poor have no human rights? The Demon King indignantly removed the 2 fangs, took a crunchy bite, and recited a line from the currently popular costume drama The Calamitous Empress. Empress, this old subject is truly wronged. The fans instantly went crazy with laughter, and the screen was flooded with limited edition gifts for a while. Art the Demon King received Veterans Comfort X3 sound effect. This has nothing to do with this female comrade. Austin's father's face emote rained down like celestial flowers, the sound effect playing repeatedly. No one cared about the life or death of that little vampire. The screen was full of ha-ha-ha. The human world was just this cold-blooded and ruthless. Sweet and sour sugar garlic went perfectly with fried bean paste noodles. The Demon King took a bite of garlic, then lifted the fried bean paste noodles and slurped them up. The game character wasn't fighting at the moment, just automatically hoeing the ground in his own courtyard. All equipment in the Titan Game Test Center was top-notch, including the microphone. The sound of eating was transmitted into the live stream room through an expensive microphone, carrying the lingering echo of a high-end sound card. The soft smack of eating noodles, the crisp crunch of biting sugar garlic, and the gulp of drinking lemon tea were satisfying, making people watching feel a surge of appetite. Gade looks so delicious when eating. Excuse me, I'm new here, is this a mukbang? Yes, this is the live stream room of Big Eater Art. Austin looked at the Demon King eating sweetly on the screen and suddenly felt a bit hungry. Seeing his little wife swallow, Wayne thought he was scared. He triumphantly closed the live stream room. The subsequent scenes were too bloody. He wouldn't let him watch. He didn't want to scare him too much, but he also wanted him to understand his power. The vampire prince lowered his head and rubbed against the little sacrifice's soft lips. Remember, no one can disobey the vampire prince's orders, and neither can you. I also want to eat fried bean paste noodles with sugar garlic, the little wife said with zero sense of crisis. Have you forgotten your identity? Mister. Wayne smiled and pinched his little wife's chin, his eyes cold. You want to eat sugar garlic to assassinate this king? Since you are so disobedient, I can only suck you dry. Hey, bastard. MMPH. Half an hour later, the little sacrifice, drained by the vampire prince, curled up weakly on the sofa. The tyrannical vampire prince was in the kitchen, bam, smashing cucumbers. Not long after, steaming hot fried bean paste noodles came out of the pot, accompanied by a plate of cold cucumber salad. No sugar garlic to eat. Sweet and sour cucumbers served as a substitute. The little sacrifice, who paid a heavy price, finally got to eat the fried bean paste noodles he had been longing for. And he forced the vampire prince to drink a pot of cooling herbal tea.